Welcome to another quick review of the sound capabilities, the tone of this guitar. And what we've got is, this is the guitar with the maple neck on, which is a bit wider in the neck, a little bit more of a sort of a thicker C shape. Still 16-inch radius, slightly thicker profile. But as a result, it's kind of a flatter, bit less relief in it. So we've actually got ridiculously low action down here. We've got 1mm all the way across, but that's kind of by the. That's beside the point. Anyway, well, it's not that somebody's interested in buying it, but it's a fantastically low light action. But what I'm here to talk to you today about is a quick demo of these tone options. So what we've got, hope you can hear it. I'm going to put this as close as I don't want too close because then imbalanced with the voice. But anyway, so what we've got here is an HSS configuration, humbucker, single coil. This is an iron gear, and these both are Fenders from a modern player Telecaster. Now inherently the polarity of these two is opposite the polarity of this one. So what it means is, in its default position, and the default position on this guitar is switches down, buttons in. That's the default setup, and I'll tell you what the switches are in a minute, but the default setup is that. So if you're just going to thinking about no other functionality but the blade, selector switch, okay, we go from humbucker in series mode to an out of phase sound between the reverse or the opposite polarities of these two, to this on its own, to these two paired, obviously the same polarity, to the neck pickup on its own. So that's your sort of standard thing. Switches, micro toggle pointing downwards, switch buttons in. So what you hear is you've got the humbucker sound, which obviously drives. If I had it up full, it would. That's interesting. That's why it's on the wrong setting. So standard humbucky kind of drivey noise. Let's give a bit of that, less of that, a bit more of that. Cuts through even the tone settings basically. So that's your humbucker. Then this scoop sound. Now the interesting thing starts to happen now is that, so the scoop sound is those two on, that's position 4. Now we introduce the remainder of these things. Each of these is a push. So with the scoop sound on position 4, it means because these two are out of reverse, their polarity is opposite. So this switch here is a polarity switcher for this. So you go from the scoop sound to a full sound, a series or a combination, in phase combination of these two. So that's the humbucker in series mode plus the center single coil in the correct polarity, and as you can tell it's a humbucker plus a single coil. Then with that still in place, what you can do is you can reverse the this switch is a switch, as well as being the tone switch, it's the switch that switches the coils on here from series to parallel to series, series to parallel. So series being the fuller, parallel being slightly thinner. So we go from full humbucker and single coil, remember down it's out of phase, up it's in phase, and then we can take some of the weight out of that by switching the humbucker to series. No, parallel. Normal, series, parallel. It's very subtle, but it's a tone difference that's quite nice. Okay, so what else is happening? So we've now discovered this one, which is switching between series and parallel alone. That's all that does. This one, oh hang on, I've got the right thing. No, I've got the wrong, wait a minute. Let me get the right one right way around, hang on. hang on, I'm getting confused now. Yeah, this is the series parallel switch. No. How bizarre. No, that's a polarity switch. This one here, push button on the volume, is the one. I'll get back down here. This is the one that switches the series parallel here. Okay, so that controls the humbucker. So we go from our thin sound, right, to a full sound because of the polarity switch. Then, but if you want to stay on the out of phase, you can thicken it. It's still out of phase sound, but you can thicken it by changing the relationship of these coils here. Okay, so remember, series, parallel, in phase, out of phase. Then here we've got what's called the Gilmour toggle, which interestingly switches on the humbucker into unusual settings, i.e. the neck and middle. So it was famous on Gilmour's Strat. So if we go up to the top here, again, we've got the neck pickup, we've got the pair. Now, if we switch this switch out, it goes thin because we've added in an out of polarity humbucker into this mix, which goes out of phase. But remember, we can switch the polarity, so this gives us all three pickups on in phase. Okay, out of phase, all three on. Push that in, it gets thicker because that's off and no longer out of phase, and it's just those two. Same with this one, neck pickup only. Right, add in bridge. We go to thin, out of phase, in phase, or we take that one out of the mix and it's just the neck pickup again. So switching the neck, the bridge pickup on, phase problems, phase cured, but you can still leave it in, or you can have all three in phase. Which on the Brian May guitar would give that sort of characteristically thick sound, for which he's famously known for using a treble boost on that. But there's so many different sounds in here, so like I said, I can't be bothered to even try and work it out. All I know is that with both switches in, both click switches in, they're push, and the polarity switch down, we've got full series, in series coils and the humbucker. Then we go to thin or thick. Then we go to middle, nice single coil. Nothing should happen there because it's not designed to come on with the middle on. Nothing happens there because that splits or switches the coil alignment here. Those two, that should now go to thin, i.e. out of phase, in phase, all three pickups. All three pickups with the polarity switched, the order switched from series to parallel. And then finally, the neck, which is a total Telecaster sound because it's a Telecaster pickup. So the idea that you've got to have a Telecaster shaped guitar to make a Tele sound is not true. Nothing happens there. That's interesting. Yep, because guess why? You worked it out now. That out means that's on in the 1 and 2 position. Either of those two, so it's out of phase, which is thin, fat. Great stuff. Now, if those of you who've been watching this know that this is an accidental configuration that I've arrived at, but I'm not sorry for that. Thank you very much, Ricard, for your help on working out these wiring diagrams. I mean, I was kind of nearly there in the beginning with the basic arrangement. There's one thing wrong, inverted commas, with this guitar still, and that is the tone is wide backwards. But then I like to think that's characteristic of the GilMay modification. we've got on this interesting weird guitar. Position 4, thin. Even thinner. So we know where to find things. Fat. That's those and those. So it doesn't take long to get used to it, but it is an incredibly versatile little thing. There you go. I thought you'd like to have a look at that. So this is it in its maple neck configuration. If somebody's going to buy this from the US or worldwide, then this is going to ship with this neck and this nice 1mm action, maybe a fraction higher. There's a little bit, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little bit of cleaning powder still in there. I've got to just brush that out when I change the strings next. But apart from that, this is going to ship worldwide with that neck on it, and if somebody buys it in the UK or the EU, I will ship it with this and with this spare neck. Obviously I won't give you two sets of tuners because I haven't got it, but this spare neck, the rosewood one, which is configured to exactly the spacing of these bolts. So there's no point me keeping it because it doesn't work that way to start with a neck that is pre-drilled. So, the way this really works is to drill the neck and sink the things once the neck is aligned in the body, which is how I added both of these. But there you go. So that is the Oakcaster number 18, the GilMay modification summed up. Sorry there aren't any great tunes, but you can see it's stayed in tune while we've been doing this. And it's got nice tones. I mean, you know, Tele. You can hear that sort of ka-thunk. What a clang that's got to it. That's the two. Sorry, that's the middle pickup only. So good combination. The iron gear, two Fenders. It's something I'd be happy to repeat on another one. To be honest, I don't think I've found a more versatile sort of configuration. A bit of a headache to think of wiring, but actually once it's done, even taking it apart yesterday to get below. Of course, the nice thing about this, I forgot to demonstrate on the other time, is that the magnetic cover comes off easily to allow you a look inside the nightmare horror wonder that is the GilMay wiring modification. So if you can figure that one out, you're a better man than me. But anyway, this nice little maple cover has, you can probably just make it out, it has two bits of spare leftover craft knife resined into place there for the magnetic or for the steel anchor points for two little tiny magnets inside the ends there. So it's a nice kind of Reloved touch that it uses some stuff that's otherwise going to get just chucked in a landfill one day or melted down or whatever. Got some lovely tone in there, if I may say so myself. But yeah, it's you know, a stroke of luck along with some calm composure and a bit of help, as I say, from Rickard. Thank you very much again, sir. Very grateful for that. And yeah, it's turned out really well. I was had a little bit of worry about this cutout. Originally it wasn't perfectly straight, although these are really nice. But what I find is I did a little bit of tweaking, a bit of sanding to smooth it out. And once I actually decided to go with the conductive black paint in those cavities, the whole thing does look a lot neater. And I know that Alex Lang, you once talked about or mentioned to me that you felt that screwing the pickups to the body was a better looking way of doing it, and I certainly have to agree on this. But I think the thing that made it for me was the conductive paint. Using the copper showing through on an open pickup like this just was too messy. You could see too much light. And also I took somebody else's advice and sheathed off, put some shrink wrap black across most of the most of the visible wiring, so there's only a couple of points where you can actually see the colours of the individual single coil wires. So as with everything, this is one that I don't mind. Oh gosh, dare I say it, I do mind if it doesn't sell. I'm happier for these things to be out in the world being enjoyed and gigged. The old Queen tone. Yeah, happier with these things to be out in the world and gigged rather than at home and me inheriting yet another one, but what a sound! You won't get that out of any conventional guitar. That's your squealy Killer Queen tones for you. Anyway, there we have it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I don't even know the price on this yet. It's not going to be the cheapest of all of them because I think it's one of the best. As you can see, it's a real beaut. But there you go, and with a free replacement neck to suit your style. Obviously this is works exactly the same way. This is a push in, rebolt, and it will return. I think you might need to make tiny adjustments to the height here. This is a slightly thicker heel, but normally whichever one you stick to, the point is once it's set up, if you're going to stay with the maple one for example, this will come off, the neck will come off and refit on location wherever you want to go, and return to exactly the same playing action every time, which is the great thing about it. There you go. Reloved Guitars Oakcaster number 18, can you believe? The HSS with the GilMay modification by accident.